Right, further forward we go. Leadership essentials. So, piece of content. It is very interesting indeed that the belief alone can shift the experience of a situation. How heavy or difficult a situation feels or is perceived as depends on the belief you hold about whatever you're dealing with and about yourself and your own energy levels. When you believe that you have only so much energy and it is never enough because you are so responsible all the time, this belief manifests in yourself, in your life. How does this belief manifest? When you believe that you have not enough energy, you feel that you don't have enough energy. And then every new thing that comes up in your life or an unexpected thing that lands on your desk is going to be evaluated as being too much to deal with. Although with a different belief you would have been able to deal with that situation easily. Moreover, the belief that you have enough energy leads to the thing that comes up in your life to be undesired because it takes away from the energy supply that you actually need for something else. In that way, it is harder for you to find an empowering meaning in the happening. In order to raise your energy levels, there are various ways to do so. Nutrition, sleep, rest during work, cycles of restoration. But another dimension of having more energy is to heal that which gives rise to a schism inside of you that costs you energy. Inner conflicts, unresolved issues, and inner callings that refuse to answer because you might not be aware of the calling or feel that you are unsure as to what the right response is costs you energy. So my work focuses on and centers around bringing all of the energies into balance so that they flow effortlessly into the right actions and directions and that are good for you and that give you more energy long term. More keywords: resolving inner conflicts for business owners. Self-healing for business owners. When we're talking about self-healing, we need to understand what we actually mean by self-healing. What are we healing and what is the self aspect to it? It is the self-healing, or are you healing yourself? Is it the self-healing? Is it the self-healing, or are you healing yourself? We need to understand what healing means. Healing means to make whole, and that suggests either a fragmentation or a cut of some kind. A fragmentation can be healed when we are integrating lost parts of ourselves back into our personality. You can think of those parts as parts of your personality. Healing can also be that. Healing means making whole. It usually refers to a cut or a part that got lost. Why do parts of ourselves get lost? We grow up and there are rules imposed by our parents. We learn values as we grow up and they are as to what are desirable and not desirable qualities in the eyes of our parents. This has to do with what they like and dislike in themselves and can be traced back to their own upbringing. Piece of content. This has to do with what they like and dislike in themselves, and it can be traced back to their own upbringing. This is how our blueprint is formed of the beliefs, what we have about the world, and how we believe the world is. Healing means healing either a split, like a hurt that came about when we got hurt as children, or when our core need for love got frustrated. Effective leadership through self-healing. A leader can only lead effectively when he heals himself. And he can only successfully heal himself when he leads himself. These dynamics go together. Healing means either healing a split, like a chasm, a schism, or a cut or a gash that happened growing up when we were a child. We had a need for love, and that need needed to be met. When we were treated with violence, being sexually or physically abused, or just had the perception that we are worthless, even if it wasn't our parents' intent to make us feel this way, a wound is formed. A wound is basically interrupting the natural flow and function of that which is being wounded. It has the characteristic of being wounded that when the wound is triggered that a high reaction follows. Just in the same way as when you touch a wounded part of your body, it causes pain as to signal to us that there is a wound that we need to be careful. Another characteristic of a wound is that it forms a scab for self-healing. The healing process requires the formation of scab, so our psychic wounds from healing behaviors are meant for us to face this wound inside. It can be explained energetically that there are energies inside of us that are not in alignment with our overall well-being, which is a higher energy. That is exactly why when we level up in life, we are confronted with our wounds, because the more successful we are, the more our energy raises. And therefore, the greater the difference between the vibration of the lower energy and the wound and the higher energy of our success. How to inspire your team through self-improvement. Self-improvement invariably inspires your team, and here is why. Invariably. When you are improving yourself, you're leveling up, you're becoming better than you were before. Inspiration means to let spirit enter you. It means that your team is inspired to raise their own standards for their lives as well. Self-coaching for business owners. Being able to coach yourself is important. So what does a coach do? A coach holds you accountable. A coach gives you strategies that are actionable and targeted just to you and for your specific situation. A coach calls you out to your blind spots. A coach helps you resolve obstacles because he is also trained in resolving things that are getting in the way of the life of your dreams. Self-improvement for business owners, identifying negative thought patterns, understanding self-sabotage, how to be an authentic leader, overcoming self-limiting beliefs. Overcoming self-limiting beliefs, especially for leaders, is a straightforward process. Step 1, we define what you want. Step 1, we identify what the belief is, or more accurately, what the cluster of belief is that is preventing you from getting what you want. Step 3, we find out why the belief was formed and more or less approximately when. This serves also that we can assess how long it might take for you to develop the counter belief to it. Step 4, we check for potential secondary gains of that belief. Is some emotional need being met? Is there anything that this belief provides you with, although indirectly? Is there something that you would face if you let go of that belief that might remind you of a situation of the past? Step 5, we acknowledge the positive intent of the limiting belief. Step 6, we devise a plan to embody the counter opposite of this belief or of the cluster of these beliefs. Use the free tool provided below in order to elicit a limiting belief, or use the Chrome extension in order to capture easily negative and limiting thoughts whenever you become aware of them. The first step is going to be becoming aware of the negative or limiting thoughts. Once you are aware of them, you can write them down. Once you are aware of them, you can notice them when they arise next time. And you know how to categorize these negative thoughts. Through the coaching interventions over time, you will learn to distinguish these negative thoughts, and when you become aware of them entering your consciousness, you will automatically associate to them what to do about them. How to resolve inner conflicts. In order to resolve inner conflicts, we need to understand what the inner conflict actually is, and secondarily, what the nature of the inner conflict is, meaning between what is there and inner conflicts. Between what is there in a conflict. Usually it is because there's something that you want and something that is standing in the way. You believe that you can't get or have what you want, usually because of a story of lack or limitation. The reason that you give might be accurate. By telling a story, I don't mean that you made the reason up, but there is a narrative around why you can't have what you want. So first we need to find out what it is that you want. Then we need to find out what it is that is getting in your way. Once we have pinpointed the inner conflict, we can start going about resolving it. The process to resolve an inner conflict is as follows. We find out what it is that you want, and then we find out what it is that is getting in the way. In determining that is getting in the way, we are looking for a pattern of behavior or a belief, a pattern of habitual thinking that feels true to you what you are going to change. Inner conflicts are usually between something that you want and something that is preventing you from getting what you want. Usually inner conflicts arise due to a story of lack or limitation. For example, that you don't have the time or the energy or the expertise in order to get a certain result that you want. The resources are out there. It is about the belief that the resources can be found. And once again, from the very top, let's go. Success is about who you are. It is defined by what you consistently do. Celebrate every small win. They pave the way to the big victories. We attract what we disown. Life pulls us towards wholeness. Positivity is alright positive. It brings better ideas and bigger outcomes. Exactly. How to write an article. So here's the important fact. Exactly. All right. When we are the way we are because we got reinforced for being that way. Usually we become that way because the parent whose love was most scarce wanted us to be like. The tragic thing is that some people got reinforced for trying hard and others got reinforced to play it small and to not upset anybody. You can see in leaders that they often have the belief since early childhood that they can do anything that they set their mind to, that they deserve a great life, inferiority complex, and impulse control. Why do we feel not good enough? We learned this in childhood, when we believed we were not good enough to get the love that we needed. So how do we fix that? Affirming. I am more than good enough because I work hard. The word because makes the statement true, and then working hard to actually improve. I want to offer you that. I want to share that with you. I want to offer you a piece of understanding to better influence your employees and get them to do what you want them to do. To influence employees, they need to feel that you understand them, and they can only feel that when you actually do understand them. Understanding means standing under the same influences as the other person. People are the way they are because of the way they perceive they needed to do in childhood to get their parents' love. It is easy for us to think that they are inferior, less capable, less motivated, less disciplined than us, the business owner. But they may have been punished for speaking up or asserting themselves while we got rewarded for that. So they got rewarded for playing it small while we were rewarded for thinking big, taking risks and acting bold. So understand that they are the way that they are not by volition, unless they actively broke out of that condition and started living the life on their terms, in which case they probably would not work for you. Understanding what people are actually standing under the influence of is the first step to influencing them. The tyranny of should. A lot of us give energy to shoulds. It prevents you from taking action when you need to take action, and it prevents you from resting when you need rest. Life's guidance shows up after our needs are being met. We all have needs that we need to take care of. To be in connection with other people, to exhaust ourselves physically from time to time, to make mental efforts, to be creative, to create, to have the feeling that we can affect outcomes. We need to spend energy resolving things inside that are preventing us from having these needs met, so we can receive the subtle guidance of life that only shows up when we are not seeking to fill ourselves anymore. Life area that I am pleased with, meaning and mission, health and time, content ideas. I spent 10,000 hours in personal development. Here is what I have found that works. I am always looking at titles that I have already proven to work, and I'm analyzing the underlying psychological principles behind why it works, so that I build the capacity to decide and discern what is good and what is not. Tony Robbins, state and environment. I am a master of social media and client acquisition. I am always paying attention to the title and the thumbnail. The title and the thumbnail set expectations that the video is going to exceed. What curiosity can I evoke in the video that my clients would want to see? I spend 200 days recording my learnings every day. Here is how to categorize your learnings so that you, first, remember why you started and connect to the purpose. Yes, I am flowing. I am overflowing with love. Yes, I am a master of social media and client acquisition. Yes, I am getting better at social media and client acquisition every day. In the same way as I had regrets about not talking to girls in Cologne during the pandemic, and now I am not thinking about it anymore, in the same way I will not be thinking about the actions that I didn't take during the pandemic in a few months when the success is rolling in. This is life. I'm not only dealing with the beautiful in life, but I'm also dealing with all of life. And that makes life worthwhile and amazing. Because I'm not excluding anything from life that I address. I'm also not excluding anybody as a person from my work. Amen. High level of thinking comes from having the character deeply rooted in reality and truth. When you're waking up, higher level ideas come flowing effortlessly into you. When you are waking up, everything in your life integrates because there is no other choice but to. We are pushing things out and putting them off because we feel like we can't deal with them right now. So by being clearly and having woken up, you have nothing anymore that you are running away from because the egoic structure has dissolved. Waking up is ROI positive. Procrastination, meaning pro, towards, and crustiness, until the next day. There cannot be emotional control without emotional expression. Emotional control comes down to A. Setting up life circumstances and making them a system where one's emotional needs are being met for status, connection, certainty, variety, self-expression, and the physical needs for exercise and intimate connection with a significant other. B. Learning emotional expression so that emotions can flow and don't get piled up. That means learning skills of communication, of receiving and asking, of getting over one's ego and be willing to embarrass oneself among others. C. Self-soothing for sadness, management for anger. Sabotage means committing acts that the outcome does not occur. So why is life so complicated for so many people? We have emotions, we have thoughts that we tend to believe, we have needs that we need to attend to. We are dealing with other people. We will need to put our own wants and needs to the back and learn to see things from somebody else's point of view. This is called empathy. The more empathetic we are, the more we can see and understand another person's position, their needs, their wants, and what it is that moves them. What are the things that move the needle forward for all of us? Life is like a pendulum, YouTube video. I'm nailing the SEO process, etc. The root cause of low self-esteem. Life is like a pendulum. It's always balanced. So life centers goes in and out between around a center point called equilibrium, called balance. And there's one extreme and there's another extreme. And life swings around the center point of balance from one extreme to the other. And then there are the invisible forces of life that are always pulling us back towards balance. And usually when we are being pulled violently by the invisible forces of life from one extreme, where we hold ourselves due to our belief back to balance, through the inertia and the momentum, we swing back to the other extreme until with each swing towards the extreme it gets less and less, until we then eventually find peace and rest in the point of balance. Now, life is never static. That means we will never actually truly rest in the point of equilibrium, but we will find a way to do that. So what is the core meaning of emotions? How to build good habits easily? How to use incantations in the right way? Over the last 200 days, I'm using the title from the school training document that read like this. I spent 10,000 hours attending Tony Robbins seminars all around the world, and here's what I have learned. Finding yourself versus deciding who you are and who you want to be. Watch this if you want to find yourself. 4 confusions that are born out of the ego that I wish I knew earlier, that have cost me a lot of years but have taught me a lot. Sexual promiscuity. Thoughts are creative. Behaviors is what changes lives. You need to be it and then you become it. Sexual promiscuity. I realized that these behaviors only feel attractive in a low vibrational state, meaning feeling unworthy deep inside. For me it was that I didn't want the rejection of a woman, and she saw that I'm still imperfect. I thought that I'm on the path of bettering myself, and I would eventually get to the point where my life is in order and basically perfect, and then I'm going to be able to attract a good woman and be with her. Thoughts are creative. I didn't fully understand this basic principle of manifestation. Our thoughts create our reality. The thoughts we think affect our energy, and so we feel drawn to other energies that resonate with these energies. Like a person with low self-esteem who feels dirty and behaves in the same way only feels comfortable around the person that or area that are dirty, because this is what the person sees himself as. And I realized it myself when I'm in a lower energy state and I feel kind of slightly depressed, out of balance because I'm not seeing enough people, but I feel I need to work, and then I'm forcing that, although I actually would love to actually speak somebody, but then I don't really have right now somebody or not enough people that I'm speaking to on a weekly basis. And so this is it then. Yeah, alright. So until I really understood that, I learned to indoctrinate myself with the thoughts that I want to think, that the person that I want to be would be thinking naturally, and condition them so that these thoughts appear habitually and effortlessly in my mind as I go through life. These high quality, high energy thoughts change our perspectives and our self-perception and make us live in a higher vibration, so that we feel attracted to other high vibe energies and attract and keep them into our lives. When we come in contact with people who vibrate on a higher energy, we remember that I used to feel intimidated by both women and men who vibrated on a higher energy, and instead of seeking them out, I was avoiding people and places like that in order to protect my own ego and my self-perception, so that I could hold up the idea that I am okay for my age and all right the way that I am living my life. It would have confronted me with the reality of who I really was at the time and how I was living my life. And since I was confronting myself with the criticism inside of me every day, I didn't want to have more of that in my life, because my own self-criticism was already too much to deal with. Behavior is what changes lives. You have to be it in order to become it. Behaviors build the habit of acting into your body and nervous system so that we spontaneously act the way that we would. Then others tend to notice that and pay respect. When we behave like the person who we want to be, other people notice that and believe we must be acting this way because this is how a person with that quality would act, and they assume that we are there. And then both we and the other person believe that we are the person, and it is consistent through time, and we have then become this person. Learnings that I have made from 11 years of isolation. The effect of 11 years of isolation. If this resonates with you, click the link below to join my free school community. What I can't do on YouTube is to interact with you directly. Join my free school community where you can talk to me every day. Isolation made me weak. I felt that I had to prove myself even though I knew better. I spent about 11 years pretty much isolating myself from people to find and heal myself. These are my two main lessons. Humans have a hard time regulating their emotions on their own. When we spend time with people, we have to get outside of ourselves and often realize that our issues are not that big of a deal. Thoughts create reality. When we are alone, our thought centers around ourselves, so we create more of what we think about, leading to a self-centered life. Mental illness can be due to just a lack of connection. Talking to oneself is often just a misguided attempt to connect. When there is nobody listening, people start talking to themselves. How to change behaviors that I already know that you need to change, but it still feels like you can't. We need to understand that every behavior is there because it gives us something. So what does the behavior give us? It either helps us fill a need inside of ourselves, or it helps us bring our entire system back into balance so that we release some stored energy, or so that it increases the likelihood that we get what we need for that is important too. Changing ourselves or changing our life circumstances. Oftentimes, especially in personal development, we believe that changing everything inside of ourselves is going to be the key and the answer to a change on the outside. That is true. Yet the change also happens the other way around. When we make changes on the life circumstances, we also change our inside. Great piece of content. Piece of content. Exactly. Some studies say that we think 6,000 thoughts a day. Others say 35,000. Whatever it is, I don't believe they run out. Because how many of us go to bed with an empty mind? Not a lot for most of us. It is constant chattering. So they don't run out because our minds are still. Why don't they run out? I believe they run out because we run out of time. So what are we doing with our 6,000 thoughts a day? Where do they go? How do they go? In all directions, or are they focused or advancing your life forward and resolving what is holding you back from living the life of your dreams? Thoughts are pointers. They point towards and in the phenomenon. Sometimes it can be an energy needs to be released and then activates, manifests scenario that gets in connection with that energy. In healing work, it seems to be so that insecurities come up in moments of being unconscious. Although the unconscious fears manifest moments where we go unconscious, period, while we eat or sleep or talk to other people, while we see movement, while we hear music. 3 common childhood dynamics that affect us as adults. Role reversal. When a child needed to be the caretaker of a parent, they pick partners that are broken. They unconsciously look for people and things to fix. Emotionally unavailable parent. Believing people will always leave, pushing people away. Being dependent on others although not wanting to. Tendency to isolate. Emotionally unpredictable parent. Second guessing oneself. Anticipating the worst outcomes in life. I dropped out of college and used my college funds to buy myself 10,000 hours of alone time instead. And here's what I have learned. You can find who you are and you can decide who you want to be. Success is the result of habits which compound massively over time. There are only a few things that you can get exceptional at in your lifetime. And most people are suffering in silence. It's all they know, and they don't even know why they suffer. How to enhance decision-making skills. Less inner conflicts make for more decision-making skills. Strategies that you have never heard before. Decision-making takes energy. In order to make better decisions, I only focus on raising the energy that you have so that you have more energy at my disposal when making decisions. Letting go of inner conflicts. Understanding self-sabotage. Self-sabotage happens when there are two contradictory motivations inside of a person. Hook. Why does self-sabotage happen to some people? Because there are two contradicting motivations inside of a person. Why is it that self-sabotage ruins some people's lives and others can't understand it? Because there are two contradicting motivations inside of a person. So how would you explain that? How would you explain that? Some people sabotage their successes, and how do you explain that? One wants better relationships, another wants peace in a relationship and avoid hard conversations. One wants to be loved because lack of love would mean death and undeservingness. One wants to be unique and special. One wants to be excitement and novelty, another wants to be sameness and predictability, especially when love is on the line, or one of the basic human needs. All behaviors meet human needs, of which there are only a few. The needs that the self-sabotage part, as the part that wants to protect, is meeting probably are either being special, being loved, or being secure. Security, being special, and being loved are important human needs that everybody needs. Great piece of content. Great piece of content. Self-sabotage means that we want one thing, but then when it seems likely we pull back. What does that mean? Self-sabotage does not happen when we don't believe it to be possible. The effect of inner blockages are that you have trouble expressing yourself, that you have trouble doing the things that you need to do in order to succeed. The effects of energetic blockages are, when you have a problem in your life, oftentimes it is not the issue that you think of that is the real problem. People tend to look at symptoms and overlook the root causes of it. This is why I'm offering this free school community, so that people like you have a place where they can grow, an environment where they can grow in. I'm making this community for you, so that you can have the access to the interventions that you need. I specialize in all things inner blockages. If you feel blocked inside of you and inhibited, and you don't know where this is coming from, then this is the place for you. When you don't know what it is inside of you that is holding you back from doing what you want to be doing in your life, and you sense that there is a calling right now to wake up or be left behind, then this is the place for you. When you feel that there is anything inside and outside of you that is hindering you from expressing your true self, the way that you truly want to express yourself. Whatever we think about is what we attract into our lives. It works in quite a magical and miraculous way. We focus on that and we tend to take on the energy of what we focus on. We get similar insights into similar to the vibration of the thought that we tend to focus on. Alright, that's enough for now.